Hi, this is Mr. Matthews, and uh, if you were out today or you'd like some additional review, this is just a short podcast regarding the cycles and what we talked about today in class. So if you look in the shared Google Drive folder, Matthews Biology students, and you go to Unit 1, you'll notice that there is a carbon and nitrogen cycle sheet. So we want to take a look at this, and I'll be going back and forth between that and the smartboard to determining what it is that we need to cover. So let's just start off with the carbon cycle. And again, backing up to your biogeographic notes, we know that cycles, or the definition of a cycle is, are chemicals that are not used up. And most of the things that the chinops, the main ingredients that make up all living things, are not used up in their cycle through. And again, going referencing the biogeochemical notes that we took in class last time, chinops, and these are the main components: CHNOPS, C for carbon, H for hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. These are the main ingredients that make up living things. We're just going to focus in on the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle today. So if we look at just carbon in general, number one, all living or all things that have carbon are considered organic. Okay, so these are things like CO2 or C6H12O6, which is glucose. These are all organic molecules. And the other thing we want to look at when we're studying the carbon cycle is that carbon is found everywhere. I mean, we find carbon in the atmosphere, we find it in the ground, we find it in water, we find it in living things. And so that's one of the things that makes carbon unique and some of the other chemicals unique is that we find it in all living aspects or all living things. So going back to your notes, just make a note that you find carbon, and I'll put C, and we'll just say everywhere. All right, and that's referencing the ocean, the land, living organisms, the atmosphere. We find it everywhere. And what we really want to pay attention to in regards to our class and what the SNL is going to ask is, how have humans impacted the carbon cycle, or what is our role in the carbon cycle? And I guess that is two separate questions. What is our role as humans in the carbon cycle, and how have we impacted it? So take a look at this picture here, and we see that we have a role. You can just substitute this guy right there for a human, and you can see that that's our role. And of course, when any living thing dies, they become part of the soil. And so dead organisms or waste products also become part of the soil, and that's what makes up the fossil fuels. But in humans, our major role within the carbon cycle is for respiration. So let's go back to our smartboard over here, and we say, ask these two questions. What role do we play in the carbon cycle? And the answer is respiration. We breathe out carbon dioxide. And we also burn fossil fuels. So if we want to ask the second question, what impacts do we have on the carbon cycle? Carbon cycle. And how do humans impact the carbon cycle? That's an important question to sustainability. And if we go again and look at, whoops, nope, we don't want that. We don't want to get that off the screen. Give me a second to clear that up. We go back, what role do we have? Well, we burn fossil fuels. So the more fossil fuels that we burn, the more carbon dioxide that is in the atmosphere. And the thing that actually takes away the carbon dioxide, the trees, We're cutting down trees. So the more trees we cut down, the more fossil fuels we burn, the more carbon dioxide we have in the atmosphere. So that's a major impact on the environment. So go back here to answer a question. What role or what impact do we have on the carbon cycle? Burning fossil fuels. And cutting down trees. So this is the short podcast on the carbon cycle. This is about all you would need to know for the test and for the SOL. I want to transition now to the nitrogen cycle. So again, if I'm going too fast, just stop. But with nitrogen, just a couple of things about the nitrogen cycle. Right, nitrogen about 80% of the atmosphere is made of nitrogen. And so how do we actually get it from the atmosphere into living systems? Because that's an important concept. Let's go down here to the nitrogen cycle and just looking, how do we get it from the atmosphere? And you see on the test or on the SOL, you'll be given pictures of this. But just look where the arrows lead you. So we have lightning and bacteria. Those two areas help us get the nitrogen where it needs to go. All right, so we have lightning and bacteria. Make nitrogen available to living systems. So why is this important? Why do we have to have this part of living systems? And the answer is DNA and proteins are made of nitrogen. So this is an important element for DNA and proteins. And again, the last question that we want to ask: how have humans impacted the cycle? Let's go back to the picture here and just take a look at the arrows and figure out what role we've played. So just take a look at the arrows. Where do we, whoops. Okay, we'll leave that right there, but erase, there we go. Okay, where's the human impact? Now, what have humans done? And so you can look and say, oh, that was built by humans. Oh, that's run by humans. So we have fossil fuel emissions. We have fertilizers that, and fossil fuel emissions lead to acid rain. And we have fertilizers that lead to eutrophication. Those are the two major impacts we have on the nitrogen cycle. We also have organic matter. Lots of organic matter actually could potentially be a good thing because in the end we're going to get a lot of nitrates that is very important for plant consumption. So that's why we use manure and that's why we use compost, because it's a natural, it's nature's fertilizer. We don't have to synthetically make fertilizer. So going back to our slide here in our notes, how have humans impacted the nitrogen cycle? Again, we have that burning fossil fuels. And fertilizer, making fertilizer that leads to eutrophication by runoff. So these are the notes. Do with them what you will. Hopefully you've got these already, but if you're out now, you have a sense of what we covered in class today.